Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're listening to this on a podcast, hello. My name is Sean, and this is a continuation of the Follow Your Path series. My company, my brand, everything that I'm about is all centered around following your path. That's what I help people to do. That's what I have done for myself. And I don't find a greater sense of joy anywhere else than A, walking my path, and B, helping others to do the same. Because my highest vision is creating a world where everybody's doing it. It's normalized, it's a thing. It doesn't make sense to not do that. And in order to make that reality possible, there's a whole lot of reconditioning that we got to do, and it's happening inside of us. And this is a huge process that we're in. This is the new story of humanity that's unfolding. It's the new story of our own lives that's unfolding, and it is a very exciting time if you can anchor yourself in that and not get pulled into the noise, the distraction, the fear narratives, the things that are going on in the world. No, this is a time to dive into yourself and get clear on who you are and what that path is, because y'all got a hero's journey inside of you. I have one. We all do. And that is always going to be the source of the greatest fulfillment and contentment that we could have on the earth plane. And so when you say yes to that, and you push away the fears and the what are people going to think of me stuff, that begins to unfold and open up, and the breadcrumbs start being laid out. Because as I've said on past videos, we're living in a intelligent, benevolent universe that we are children of, that we're expressions of, and there's free choice here. So you get to pick where your attention's going, and it can either go to the fears, the traumas, the past, the things you did wrong, whatever, the judgments, or it can go towards the beauty. It can go towards expansion and purpose and imagination of bringing more beauty into life and seeing more beauty in yourself. So big responsibility with that when you recognize that life is a mirror and it's showing you what you're holding inside of you, what your beliefs are, right, in your subconscious. And that's just always playing itself out, which I'll just say has been so helpful for me to realize this. And if I can get this to come through the frequency of my words, I hope this lands for you. Because one of the things that was one of the biggest challenges for me in my life was taking things personally. Oh my God, I would do that so much. I would make everything about myself. And anytime someone wasn't feeling good, or, something was going on, I would make it about me. It's my fault. I did something. And that was only there because of my childhood and the environment of my house, where there was a lot of chaotic stuff going on. So I wanted to just try to hold the peace, right? So there's a book, and I'm sure many of you have heard of it, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And that is one of the agreements. Don't take things personally. You don't need to. And here's why. Once I understood this, then it helped me so much to see what's going on, like the truth of things, which is most human beings, when you look out into the world and you in your day-to-day experience, are literally running on programs that are deep in their subconscious mind, and they're just playing out in feedback loops, and they're not seeing life as it is. They're seeing it as they are, just like same here with me. So when you can recognize that's happening, and you can stop making it about yourself and realize that that person's operating in a pattern, in a loop, and they're in their own experience, and it truly doesn't mean anything about you, you're free. You're free from judgments. You're free from fears of anything that people think, because they're seeing you through the lens of their own stuff, right? It's like I mentioned this a little bit in the last episode. When you start becoming authentically you trigger the shit out of some people. And that's awesome. That's how you know. Why? Because you are now operating in an energy of freedom that they're not allowing themselves to have. And that's going to make them angry because you're a mirror of what they're suppressing, right? And I remember I had this with certain incredible coaches that I've worked with over the years, and even some more bigger presences on social media. When I met them in person, I was triggered by them, and I'm like, what's going on? I feel so yeah, judgmental of this person. And then I discovered that it was because they had a feeling, or yeah, a freedom in their expression that they were not denying themselves, that they had stepped into. And I wanted that so badly for myself, and I wasn't giving it to me. So I would project onto them like they're doing something wrong, they're bad, get away from them. So anyways, when you can really let this land, that people are just repeating these subconscious things from the time that they were, 1 to about 8 years old. And then of course, like from 8 to 14, 15, you're establishing your emotional patterns. You're developing a sense of your ego self. That's where that all starts to take form and shape. And for me, when I started to walk the authentic path and I started to follow my path, when I saw other people doing it on any level, it was like, fuck yeah. It was so much of being in a place of celebration of them and honoring of them, no matter what it was. If they were following their path and moving beyond the fear and choosing alignment, I was just so much in celebration of that. That's how I knew when the judgments started to cease, and then I started to get to that place. That's how I knew I was really stepping into that vibration. So anyways, back to following your path, right? This is what this channel is all about. If you're someone watching this and maybe you're on your path some days and then you jump off, or you're like in the middle of the bridge somewhere feeling stuck, like, what is my path? What am I doing here? Who am I? I just want to say this is all part of the process. Like, you can't skip that. That's, if you find yourself there, amazing, accept it fully. Here's where I'm at. And then you get to direct the life force, your attention, to the gnosis of my path is in me. I was not created without that. There is a blueprint in me, and my compass is following my excitement. My compass is following my intuition, which is guiding me through feeling, which I can have full access to if I can just get quiet enough and not get pulled into the noise of the outer world. If I can create a little bit of space to slow my brain waves down, I have access to that. I am now on a different radio station than I'm used to, which is the beta brainwaves that most people are in all day long. You can't access the higher mind from there. It's impossible. It can't be done. There has to be space created. And again, whether you want to go for a walk in nature, whether you want to meditate, or just really slow yourself down and start to be very mindful of how you're operating day to day, and start to get clear on, like, what are your core motivations? Why are you doing what you're doing? And asking those questions. And what you'll find is, most of the time you're doing things from a superficial place. You're doing things based on other people. You're doing things based on what mom, dad, teacher, minister had taught you. And this is the whole thing we're in, like, letting go of that model of what we thought life was and who we thought we were, so that we can get into the void, into the unknown where everything exists, and begin to shape a whole new story and movie from that place, where you're now writing the script, which really is life flowing through you and writing the script with you, which is so much more satisfying and beautiful and epic than you trying to do it as the small self, right? Like, that's what we're leaving behind, is the third dimensional, how you relate to yourself, of, as I said in the last video, okay, this body, my past, my history, blah, 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 the way that we're used to identifying ourselves. That's goodbye. And now you're in a whole different game. When you realize that life happens for you and through you, and its desire is to bring you everything that aligns you with who you really are, then it's a completely different adventure, truly. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to this, and it's amazing. So for this episode of about following your path, this series about following your path, because my intention is that for those who are watching this, that you get a sense, you can just even feel the uniqueness that is inside of you, the how life force moves through your channel in a way that's never been here before. The story of you, that unique love, that expression of love that you are, the way that you love is the most unique thing in the universe, right? The way that what you're excited about, what lights you up, like that's you. And what has gotten in the way is these shadows, right? These traumas and these things that we've experienced in our past. And if we're not dealing with them properly, they stay there and they loop and they pull you in, and it's unconscious. You don't even realize that you're just playing out these things. Or maybe you are hyper aware like me, like I once was, where I was very much aware of my patterns and what was happening inside of me and what was keeping me stuck. And yet I would just continue to walk that treadmill, be on that treadmill, that cycle. And it wasn't until I engaged in true shadow work and flipped the perspective of, wow, these things, these that I used to think kept me trapped and stuck, are here to free me. They're here to liberate me. These are the themes in the curriculum of Earth School that I signed up for, right? So I look back at my life and I see the major themes that cause the most pain. And I did touch on this a little bit in the last episode. That was rejection, it was shame, and it was fearing what other people think of me. So what was the medicine for this? When I opened up to life and I said, okay, show me who I am, life was like, all right, it's going to be a ride and you're going to have to walk a very unorthodox path. And I was like, okay, I'm down. And there was many times during that process where I was like, I don't know if I'm down. Like, maybe I want to go back. Holy shit. So I left my corporate career as a software sales dude, and I jumped totally into the unknown, having no clue what was going to happen, no plan, no anything. I don't know if I recommend that to people. That was just part of my journey, and the gaps filled in. And so like I remember walking through the judgments of, even my own family and people around me, like, that's crazy, like, what are you doing, like, how are you supporting yourself, all this stuff. I lived out of my car for a while. I didn't know, I was just in that. I remember the last time I had been in that place was when I graduated from college, and I was in this deep depression of like, who am I and what am I going to do with my life? I don't know what I want. I don't know who I am. And then it was like, all right, just take an entry level job somewhere and just do a career like everyone else is doing. Like, that's the model that I learned and everyone around me is doing. So like, okay, cool. And then, about 7 years of that, and it was like, no, that ain't it. Because when you know that you are an infinite cosmic being that has an infinite amount of journeys, and this one goes by quick, this avatar that you're in, this journey goes by fast. And when you recognize you're in the forever game and it's not just one and done, you're building your character just like in a video game, everything changes, because now you recognize that the limitations that you accepted are not your own, the stories you accepted are not your own, what the experiences that you had in large part were shaped by the things that you picked up along the way and the traumas that you experienced and the pain. And then you go into protection mode and you develop these things as children to adapt and fit in and survive. And that's what we're evolutionary wise shedding the skin of. I am genuinely, and this is why I love the work that I do with people, because I am so genuinely fascinated with what starts to unfold when someone says yes to their path. Where life will start to direct them towards, right? Like an example for me was I started doing Uber driving, as many of you probably know, when I made that jump. And then through that is where I started to see the pieces coming together, because I would have an intention when I got into the car of like, okay, anyone who comes in here today is going to feel way better than they did by the time they leave than when they first got in. And that intention alone, plus, may life flow through me, and anything that wants to come through for this person, let it happen. Let the highest love come through here. Like this is our superpowers. Like this is our magic. This is what we can do through intention. It's so powerful and it's simple, right? It's not like I'm writing out 20, like, all right, here's my objective for each ride. It's like, no, it's a simple mantra. It's a simple intention. This is what it will be. Right? I know there's no question. I'm not like, maybe this person will feel better. Think of how weak of an energy that is. When I know, and it would just get even more powered up when I saw results, when I saw this continue to keep happening, and I saw the wild stuff that was going on in these rides. The more evidence I got, the more I believed it, the more I was like, yes, this is what it is. It just got more and more powerful, right? So people would come in and all sorts of stuff would happen. Emotional releases. I literally could feel myself get out of the way. My channel would open up and that person would hear exactly what they needed to hear. I would share things with them that were a reflection where they could finally see themselves in a new way. Or it was just a safe, loving space for them to release, to be heard and be seen and be witnessed, because maybe they had never had that. Many people have never had that truly before. And so it was like a dynamic where, because I was open and that intention was creating the space, and I was just flowing with that, and not resisting anything, just allowing it to be what it was, that's when things could happen, right? Because I could shift into whatever role I needed to be in the highest service for that person. So my point with bringing that up, and then people started asking me like, hey, do you work with people? Like, what do you do? And that's when I had discovered life coaching at that point, and transformational guidance and mentorship and that sort of thing. And so I was like, I took that as God speaking through that person, being like, hey, you should say yes to this. Here's an opportunity, not should, but like, here's an opportunity for you to step into something. And I did. And then again, I started to see more evidence of the results people would get and how much I enjoyed doing that with people, how intimate it was and how different from therapy it was. Because here's the thing, getting to work with people in that way, I get to have a family-like connection with them. I get to have a beautiful relationship where it's not like, okay, time's up, see you next week. And then like you never hear from that person. Like there's no connection outside of that space. Like, no, it gets to be whatever we want it to be, whatever I choose it to be. And I love that. So anyways, the reason I bring that up is because when you start saying, show me, when you start communicating with life, which you could say is prayer, which all you have to do for that is, again, just get quiet, get into a space where you're just with you, and you start to ask the questions like, God, universe, source, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, show me who I am. Let me be of service. And then it's like, whoa, watch out. Things are going to start to happen. And I'm so fascinated by what that looks like for each person because it's so different. It is so unique. It is your universal love story now is unfolding. You have escaped, you have disengaged from the narrative of the ego, the narrative based on your past, which just keeps creating more of itself out of fear. And now you're in the real love story of you. Life is living the love story as and through you. Wow. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And that is something that you got to experience because you just want more of it. It just keeps opening up and things start to get exciting. The synchronicities start to occur. You see the numbers in places. People will bring things up at the perfect time. An opportunity will come in. Again, like I said earlier, the breadcrumbs start to fall. We are here to do this. We are having this exploration on Earth for this reason. We are shedding the skin of the primitive survival programming that was all part of it leading up to this so that we could have this freedom of expression, right? And oh, the colors. Oh, your colors, the way that you paint the canvas with your energy and attention and the way that you interact with life is so epic. It's so amazing. I love it. This is when I love people. I always try to love people where they're at. That's my highest intention. Yet when someone's in their hero's journey, they're on their path and you can see the light in their eyes, you can see that love story going on. Oh, that's a special thing. That is one of my favorites. And if I want to see more of that in the world, let's bring Gandhi into this because I love this quote. And I've had so many different journeys with it of understanding. Be the change you wish to see in the world, right? Oh shit. It starts in here with me. If I'm seeing a lack of authenticity out there, guess what? I better be getting real authentic with myself. I better be getting real honest and radically real with myself if I want to ever see it out there. I better be following my path if I'm going to help other people do that and if I want to see that in the world. So that's what life did. And then all of a sudden, as for many of you know, plant medicines have been a very potent, beautiful teacher for me and an amazing tool that has helped me in immense ways to wake up and remember. The earth provides us with these tools because she knows this shit is dense. Like we get so wrapped up in our ego stuff that it's hard to break out of that a lot of times, right? That cocoon is so tight and strengthened by repetition of these patterns that sometimes you need to get a good old dose of ayahuasca or psilocybin or whatever that's going to just pop you out of your left brain orientation and see things for as they truly are, right? Take in the medicine of the earth because she wants her children to remember. She wants her children to be dancing happily on her surface. I love that visual of Mother Earth, the expression of the feminine, just being so happy to feel her children's dancing feet on her surface and taking care of her like the beautiful garden that she is and recognizing the oneness that we share with her. That's where we're going. And I love that. That's the vision that I am so anchoring into and not giving any energy to any of the other shit. Yes, I know there's things happening, but here's the thing. If we can hold our attention on these truths and start to take responsibility of that in our own lives, that's gonna be what changes everything. not going out there and fighting the big corporations and going into resistance mode, because that keeps it there. What you resist persists. That was always a concept for me. And then I downloaded it into the body, and I was like, yeah, I got to stop fighting. I got to stop giving power to things beyond myself. There is nothing on this in this outer world that has any power over me. Zero. The only time that will ever happen is if I go into a pattern and I forget. But I know in truth, there is nothing, no obstacle, no thing on this earth plane that has any power over me, because I am an expression of all of life, infinite, eternal, and it's all done. It's all here. These are the things that I'm anchoring myself into, and I invite you as well to do the same if you choose. Free choice, like I said earlier. So if you find yourself in a place of like trying to find your purpose, or feeling like you're not walking your path, again, accept that. Okay, that's where my attention's been going. What if I ground myself into today and every day forth? I come into alignment with my highest truth. I start to follow my excitement. I start to intentionally create space to listen. I start to speak and communicate to life. And I say, show me. Let me be a vessel to serve life. And then just relax, rest in peace, which was a phrase that we got conditioned to believing was all about dead people and what you say when someone dies. But that's the covenant. One of my mentors shared that with me, and it was like, wow, this big moment of like, wow, we were trained to associate that with death instead of living, instead of aliveness, instead of harmony and oneness with all of creation. Rest in peace. Be at rest, be at peace, so that you can receive what life wants to bring through you and for you, so that you can hear your intuition, so that you can be relaxed and in that receptive mode where you're open to get the things that are meant for you. So I hope that lands. I could keep going another half hour with this. We'll save it till the next episode, but I just want to say thank you for tuning in as always. And my intention is for this channel and this podcast to be a place where you can come in, listen to the words that I'm sharing, because I am you also, and you're me. And remember, we're creating a world together. We're co-creating a collective where it's safe to follow your path. It is the highest joy to follow your path, because it's so helpful when you see people around you doing it, and it gives you permission to, and then you start to give yourself permission. And this is how we're going to create that world. So let this be a place where you come in and you get charged up, and it's like, yes, I choose my path. I choose my love story, and I trust that my desire that comes from a pure place is leading me towards what I'm meant to be doing. And I'm going to get into this more in the next episode, but you can look at your history and you can see the things that felt like they shackled you the most, and let that start to liberate you. Let that be the thing that you alchemize within yourself that takes you to freedom. So yeah, we'll touch more on that next time. But until then, big love, everyone, and stay authentic, stay free, stay peaceful, stay fucking wild. And so it is.